Man, that's bullshit. Hello everyone, welcome to Bullshit Science, the show where we try to understand the science behind science fiction, and probably fail. I'm Bill Armstrong.
And I'm Luke.
So, have you ever played any of the BioShock games?
I've played BioShock Infinite. I haven't played, I started playing the first one. I couldn't really get into it too much, but I really enjoyed playing Infinite. That was definitely a good game. Why? How many of them have you played?
All of them.
Nice.
I actually got the 3 main games just because they were recommended to me by my buddy. Yeah, I played them and I was like, oh my goodness, these are so good. So I just decided I'm just gonna get like all the DLCs that add story.
Right.
Which were Burial at Sea and Minerva's Den, and I just sort of went through those and I was like, this is so freaking good.
I don't know why I couldn't get into the original BioShock. Like I said, I played probably about 10 or 15 minutes of it, and I just really couldn't get into the storyline. The being underwater just kind of threw me off. I didn't really understand what was going on. And I think it was after I played Infinite that it actually made sense. So you could definitely tell that Infinite was definitely like a pre-sequel. So
Yeah.
after I got into that, I thought about playing the original BioShock after that, but I just haven't gotten to it yet.
That's actually kind of funny because in BioShock Infinite they introduced like dares and different realities and all that crap. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
And actually, when I first got to that ending, I was like, M. Night Shyamalan much? But now, I recently played it again, and I was like, yeah, okay, I can buy this.
Well,
I took psychology, I
kinda...
know what short-term memory loss is.
Right. And it was kind of odd, the way she was just basically tearing through reality to an alternate reality, which was really good.
Yeah, but that is a topic for another episode.
Right.
That is a show in and of itself. And actually, the whole bit about you not being able to get into the story, that's actually the reverse for me. I almost immediately got into the story and just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Just how expansive it was.
Well, see, and it was my best friend that turned me on to those games, and he really loved them. I mean, he was playing BioShock, the original, when him and I met up here recently, and then he picked up the second one after I had been staying with him for a while, and he had me check that out. He had me check out the first one while he was playing the second one, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was because I was playing too much Call of Duty, or maybe it's because I was used to some of the other games that we were playing, and so it just made it hard for me to get into.
Yeah. One of the aspects of the story that I fell in love with, and this is more so in the original BioShock game than in BioShock Infinite, because, well, let's face it, in BioShock Infinite you have to deal with Zachary Comstock, the crazy lunatic he is.
Yeah, to say the least.
Giving us Christians a bad name, I'll tell you. Anyways, plasmids and genetic modification, that is today's topic. Mainly the plasmids in BioShock and how those work and if they're actually possible. Now, I'm going to say right now, I call bullshit to most of them.
Yeah, I can't say whether or not it would be. I mean, I really haven't read any literature either way as to if it's possible. I mean, I realize that we're doing genetic modifications on other things, such as, fruits and sheep and, other things that we're allowed to test on, because obviously, human testing is frowned upon. But
well, they are doing tests to babies, I've heard. Like, I've heard
really?
There's this couple in I don't remember where exactly. I think they were in Canada or some shit. But they were like, oh yeah, give us one of them our test tube babies, and they were like, here you go, or something. So,
well, and I understand that they can manipulate the DNA in those too, so that you can have a child that is blonde haired with blue eyes, or just for lack of better.
Wow, as soon
discussion.
as you said blonde hair and blue eyes, I immediately thought of the Nazis.
Well, that's understandable too. But I mean, I noticed that they can take, and like if there's any genetic defects, they can actually remove them from the DNA strands and replace them with other what am I looking for? With other, I guess, good cells or good proteins. That's what I was thinking. With the other good proteins so that they don't have those genetic defects. Now, if they can do that, I wouldn't see why, without some sort of, just a little more tweaking, they wouldn't be able to make it to where that might even be a possibility. Using the plasmids and things like that. Because from what I understood in the game, it was something that you picked up and then basically injected in yourself so that you have these powers that you can use.
Yeah. Pause right there. It looks like the mic might be getting a lot of
Bouncing around.
Yeah, so here.
That's alright, I'll just grab the other one out of the other room. Man, I can't believe they recorded this during an earthquake.
That's how motivated we are.
Hey, that came out really good for being in an earthquake. Alright, so we're all set up now. Hopefully.
Okay, yeah.
We won't be shaking around too
No
much.
more earthquakes.
So now, the thing that I was a little unsure on is how the Adam and the Eve worked.
Yeah, that actually is one thing that isn't explained. Now, I'm going to say right now, in my attempts to try and play the BioShock games in preparation for this and trying to make a deadline, I will admit I failed. I'm just now at the point in the first one where you have to get all the lot 192 or whatever to counteract some hypnosis effects.
Okay.
Something, big twist, something.
Plot twist, right.
something. Someone named their fake wife and son after the characters of a musical in Fort Frolic. Anyways.
Yeah, that's...
Honestly, there's like a big twist in the first BioShock game, in BioShock Infinite, in Burial at Sea Episode 2. Kinda, sorta in Burial at Sea Episode 1, also kinda not, because, again, the twist in that one's kinda covered in the main game itself.
Right.
And there's also another kind of sort of big twist in Minerva's Den that caught me off guard because I was not expecting it at all.
Okay.
But anyways, I went back and listened to quite a few of the audio journals.
Right.
They do not explain how Adam and Eve work. I just realized why they're called Adam and Eve. I think. Adam was the first guy, Eve was the first woman. I just now got it.
Well, see, and that's what I was thinking it was. Well, and that's what I was thinking it was too, and that maybe they were using it as just a creation to, back up the story a little bit, and that's why they came with that, because, as you find out in BioShock Infinite, you find out what the creator and everything going on with that, and he's basically the one who gave them the names that they receive. And, as you mentioned earlier, the guy gives Christians a bad name, and it's like he was trying to, for lack of a better term, be Hitler.
It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, Zachary Comstock's motives. I know we're getting a little off track here, everyone, but just bear with us for a minute. Zachary Comstock, he was there at Wounded Knee, killed a bunch of people, all sad about it, and spoiler alert to everyone, if you don't want this spoiled, well, fuck you. This probably isn't the show for you.
Right.
Don't worry, play the game, we'll still be here talking about it.
Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game, it's just...
He goes and as you find out, it's really actually, we don't really need to say who he really is. I just realized that. Anyways, he goes and, after Wounded Knee, he basically went to this whole baptismal thing, and accepted the baptism, and the dude was like, what will be your new name or your new self or whatever, and he was like, Zachary Comstock or whatever, and then went on to be the founder of Columbia, the floating city, but he became born again in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, so why the hell will this crazy son bitch decide it would be a good idea to become Hitler?
Well, and that you got to kind of look at the motivation behind that character too. I mean, he did deal with a lot of BS, and he thought that what he was doing was what was best for the world, and in doing so, he came to the conclusion that what would be best would be to collect a certain number of people, however many people, whatever type of people, I don't know, that was indiscriminate. They didn't really, go into that too much in detail. Just that he had collected a bunch of people that he felt were, the people that they were supposed to be, and took them up to this city, basically floating city in the sky.
Yeah, and he also describes it as a new ark or whatever to protect everyone from the flood or whatever, even though that flood will be raining down on them from him and his daughters. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But back to topic.
Okay, so...
The plasmids.
The plasmids, yeah. We're going to say right now, we're not going to cover the vigors and salts in Bioshock Infinite. They are basically the same thing as the Adam and the plasmids. Yeah. In Burial at Sea, spoiler alert, in episode 2, you find out that one of the scientists in Rapture behind the plasmids, and technically the main guy behind the plasmids, Suchong, he was collaborating with Fink in Colombia, and they were trading like secrets and methods and all that stuff, because I guess there was like a tear that Suchong managed to open and used it to communicate with Fink or whatever, and so they basically just collaborated, and that was technically started when Elizabeth went to Rapture, because
she was doing all the rips in the space time basically anyway. So
she went to Rapture and she arrived in this restaurant. I think it was called the Red Herring or something.
Okay.
Might have been the Red Starfish. I don't know. I'm a bit more
It was the Red something.
Red something. Who cares?
But as far as the plasmids go, I mean, these were basically physical enhancements.
Yeah.
That you pick up along the way. And in order for anything like that to work, we would have to find a way to either bombard cells with radioactivity to where they would be able to accept something like that, or we would have to find a way where, as like test tube babies, you were to take and alter the genetics that way. And that is a possibility. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's just not something that I would think that they would be working on right now.
Yeah, it's not big, but I'm always a bit worried that we might have a Gattaca future where it's like genoism instead of racism and stuff.
Yeah. They kind of push you aside because they feel like your genes aren't good enough.
I'm going to tell you right now, that part in the movie was great when the natural born guy just outdid his brother who was a test tube baby.
Yeah.
Because that shows you that true nature is better than your effed up game of God.
Well, nature will find its way, regardless of whether or not humans continue to play God and, switch genes around and things to that effect. I feel like regardless, it could be 10, it could be 20, lifetimes down the road. It could be 20 generations of people before it starts to correct itself, but sooner or later it's going to.
Yeah.
And it's either going to correct itself back to what it was, or it's going to incorporate that and then further without any manipulation from humankind.
Yeah, and actually what made that bit in Gattaca even more powerful, now that I think about it, was that you see these flashbacks and he wasn't outdoing his brother.
Yeah.
Because he would always get short of breath or something and have to go back to shore. So
right.
That was just... that was a great
powerful. Movie. Definitely.
So good. I want to watch Gattaca. Anyways, moving on. So first, we will cover the story of the plasmids, or at least try to, and see if we understand how they work. Okay, so first, plasmids, they are only possible because of Adam.
Right. Without the atom,
without Adam, you got nothing.
Or nothing, yeah. Because you have to pick up the atom and store it in order to even use them. So
Adam was initially, or at least as Bioshock 1 explains it, Adam is initially discovered by the German scientist Tenenbaum.
Okay.
When she's in Rapture. And the incident that made her actually look into this, because Adam comes from a certain type of sea slug.
Okay.
So it's a natural thing. What happened is there was this incident where she was at the docks, at the Rapture docks.
Right.
Kind of a weird concept when you think about it, because...
The underwater doctor, the doctor going to see the underwater doc. What's going on here? Yeah.
But she goes there, and one of the men unloading crates, he was crippled. His hands couldn't function properly.
Right.
Well, one of these sea slugs got onto one of the crates, and it bit him. Next day, his hands, he could use them again.
Right.
So that regenerative property initially is what fascinated Tenenbaum and got her into that.
I just want to know how she ramped it up from it just being a regenerative property to being something that you could actually use, like unleash a force with, you know?
Yeah, well, she didn't initially start doing that.
Okay.
From what I gathered, it was Su Chong who did the major work with plasmids and even with the Big Daddies.
Okay.
And Tenenbaum, she began experimenting with the atom and the sea slugs and all that hoo-has and nonsense and bullshit. Right. And she found that she could use it to create a double helix. She could use it to manipulate genetics.
Right.
Make someone better and also heal someone. And bring dead cells back to life.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
So Lazarus syndrome right there.
Yeah, definitely.
And what happened is she made the Little Sisters.
Right.
She did that, and also this ties in with her character motive, that her work with the Little Sisters, it caused her maternal instincts to come out and all that, and she began to hate herself for what she did, and that's why she, in the game itself, is like, save the Little Sisters. Give them a better life, or whatever.
Right.
And if you do that, you get a really beautiful ending. I'm just going to let you know right now, when you get back to and play Bioshock 1 and Bioshock 2, there are different endings you can get.
Okay, so
in Bioshock 1, there's only 2 different endings. In Bioshock 2, there's 6 endings.
Wow.
And
so depending on the choices that you make.
There are very, very different things. In Bioshock 2, there's more things you can do to affect the outcome.
Well, in 2, aren't you playing as the Big Daddy anyway?
Yeah, you play a Subject Delta, one of the very early Big Daddies.
Okay, that's what I thought. I could have sworn that's what I remembered.
He initially came off the assembly belt, quote unquote, in sometime either during the year of or before 1958, because that's when the first cutscene takes place, and then it jumps forward a few years.
Right.
But yeah, if you save all of the Little Sisters in both games, and in the second game, spare the main bosses or whatever. Yeah. Or at least the ones that don't shoot at you, because
once they start shooting at you, you really don't have a choice.
If they give you a choice, like
kill it or don't kill it,
then if you choose not to kill them, then and also save all the Little Sisters, you get a really, really beautiful ending that I will admit made me cry the first time I saw it. Yeah. So beautiful. Past the good endings, Tenenbaum made the Little Sisters, and they became basically natural factories for Adam.
Right. They just produce it.
Yeah.
Which is why throughout the game you're supposed to.
However, there is a downside.
Free them so that you can get more.
You can, technically the games give you 2 choices, whether to save the Little Sisters or to harvest the atom from them. If you harvest the atom from them, they die. Right. Because the atom itself, what you're doing in that instance is you're taking all of the atom and I believe even the sea slug out of them, because they have a symbiotic relationship with the sea slug. They have to.
Without the sea slug, they don't exist, right?
Yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
And there's another sort of symbiotic relationship that they have with the Big Daddies. Su Chong made the Big Daddies, and they basically act as their protectors.
Right, which is why they have to imprint on them. And
in Burial at Sea, episode 2, you find out that, or at least if you listen to all the audio journals, woohoo, OCD.
Hey, I'm a 100%er too. I don't like playing games if I can't 100% them, so.
You find out that Big Daddies have to imprint on Little Sisters.
Yeah.
Without the Little Sisters, the Big Daddies cannot survive, because the Little Sisters also produce a certain type of Eve that the Big Daddies need in order to live.
Okay.
So that's why they're all like that. And when you think about it, in the first game, in the original Bioshock, you actually, when you save or harvest the Little Sister, you'll sometimes see their Big Daddy just wander around. And
yeah, because they're kind of lost.
And then just knock on vents. Yeah, it's kind of sad, because that Big Daddy's dead now. Because he is not finding a Little Sister in time to keep himself alive, I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. Especially not in the hellhole of Rapture is.
Oh, no doubt.
Which we'll get to here in a little bit, probably. So that's the whole bit with the Little Sisters and how Adam is now produced in Rapture. However, Adam has downsides. Now, it causes great properties. However, it also causes mental and cosmetic damage.
Right.
That is a big downside.
A little bit of that you can see because if you look at their arms and stuff, like when they have the plasmids, the different plasmids, as you're switching through them, you can see it basically looks like the veins in their arms have changed color, and
Yeah,
it's
and
kind of changed the form of that aperture of that,
in your
of that
arm,
arm.
and also in all the games, even in Bioshock Infinite, because again, Suchong and Fink, they collaborated, so they
Right.
shared secrets, and that's why the Vigors and the Salts in Bioshock Infinite are so similar to the Plasmids and the Eve and the Atom in the original Bioshock games.
Right.
And basically, that's all that. So, medically, Atom is really, 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 really bad. The chemical, not the person. I'm sure Atom...
Right.
Atom, the guy, I'm sure he was a great guy, and I know some good Atoms. Good people.
Right, but as far as that
Unless they're
game
not,
goes,
then they're not.
for the Atom in that game, it was, you had to where it did give you the positive effects, but the side effects, you have to ask yourself if they don't just outweigh what the positive effect is from it.
Right, and you can actually see that in the bad endings for both Bioshock and Bioshock 2.
Really?
Because in Bioshock 1, the bad ending, spoiler alert, you basically go mad with this power, and you actually cause the end of the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Big, I know.
Wow.
To quote Michael... Ah, crap, I forgot his name.
Michael J. Fox?
Yeah.
Marty?
That guy.
Marty McFly?
The guy who shakes a lot from Back to the Future. Yeah, to quote him, that's heavy, Doc.
Right.
And to
That
quote
is-
Doc Brown, why is everything so heavy in the future, Marty? Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravity? Anyways.
Of course there is.
Of course there is. We keep messing with stuff.
Yeah, that's it. See, well, you do stuff like this, it might just be that heavy. You never know.
Yeah, so there are downsides, and I forgot what the bad ending for Bioshock 2 was. I don't know. I think everyone dies. I don't remember. Just everyone dies.
Everyone dies, it's over. World explodes, you're done.
But yeah, and you can also see that in the splicers in the original Bioshock games, because they all looked really, really, really fucked up.
Yeah, okay.
They're just faces messed up, and they wear masks.
Almost
and
like half melted off.
and they're always like saying some of the weirdest stuff. Like they just, if you play the game for the first time, or at least for me, I got the sense of being creeped out by them because they were obviously mentally just gone.
Right, so the way that they portray it is like prolonged use of the atom is going to not only affect your body, it's also going to affect your mind. Because it's going to take those little pieces of humanity that you still have and kind of just tear them apart.
Yeah.
Leaving you just the remnants of what was there.
Yeah. One of the properties Atom does have, one of the benefits, again, is its property of regeneration.
Right.
However, you're gonna probably get a kick out of how this works. This is gonna be fun. Fun on fun. Atom, its regenerative properties work because it destroys cells and replaces them with
the atom.
unstable stem cell versions.
Oh, okay. Hence the reason the splicers
Yeah.
are what they are.
Yeah, so that's why
That totally makes sense.
that's why it has some of those benefits, but also why it has such major downsides, and
Major destructive powers.
and over time you actually need more of it to survive. So it is
Right.
quite literally a drug.
Yeah.
A quick side note, Atom was used by a kind of sort of minor character in the first game who gets killed off, a Dr. Langford.
Okay.
What she did was she wanted to bring trees back to life.
Okay.
And she used Atom and some other chemicals and made something called the Lazarus formula or whatever. Yeah, so that's...
That was supposed to have basically the same properties that it does for humans, only with plants.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder, did it do the same thing to the plants, to where, because of how it degraded the cells in the human subjects, did it change those plants to be almost like the splicers?
I don't think so. Now, granted, as far as I can tell from the audio journals in the first game,
Yeah.
the formula has never been tested.
Oh,
You
okay.
actually have to make it in order to keep the trees alive, because Andrew Ryan, the founder of Rapture, he's a complete and total psychopath to begin with. Great idea for a city, but complete whack job.
Yeah.
He actually goes and tries to kill the trees to try and kill you and just kill everyone in Rapture so that he won't lose.
Oh, because if there's no trees, there's no oxygen.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the trees actually do successfully die, then you have to make this Lazarus formula to
So
try
that
and
you can
back
bring
to
them
life.
back to life. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and you're only told about it by Langford because she's like, he's killing my trees, I'm pissed.
Okay, that's kind of a weird way to do things, though.
From the Atom, you get the Plasmids.
Right.
Developed by Asian professor Dr. Suchong.
Okay.
He also created the Big Daddies. I will admit I have no idea. Well, then again, it might have been so that he could protect the little sisters. Because if I remember correctly, I think one of his audio journals says something about the little sisters and how remarkable they are or something. I don't know. I know he comments on how.
Well, and maybe he thinks that they're so remarkable because of the way that they can produce the atom.
I'm gonna say this right now. He is very interested in atom, and he actually says in one of his journals, atom is the canvas and plasmids are the paint.
Okay.
It's either him or this Dr. Steinman fellow, who, by the way, goes crazy and was a highly renowned surgeon in Rapture. Just goes off the freaking rails.
Yeah.
Completely loses it.
Start trying to whack everybody.
Yeah, there's actually an incident for Steinman. He tried giving this woman a facelift. The nurse called the head surgeon, the chief surgeon or whatever, to get him to stop.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know the full details, but yeah, you have to deal with him in the game.
Kind of like
Kind of
face
very
off.
Yeah.
To take his
Face
off. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Or maybe even more so like Escape from L.A. because do you remember that? Did you see Escape from L.A.?
I haven't seen it.
There's a part in that movie where Bruce Campbell, I know you know who Bruce Campbell is. Bruce Campbell is like this cosmetic surgeon. And he basically, what they're doing is they're running around and they're gathering up human subjects and taking them back. And then they'll take like their eyes out if they have like nice eyes, or take their nose, or take their ears, and implant them on these rich people, or these, basically people who have had so much cosmetic surgery that their face is just starting to fall off. And when it gets to that point to where it's starting to sag and kind of droop and try and fall off because they don't have the proper equipment, they were just harvesting parts from humans and slapping them on each other. So it was a little out there.
Sounds lovely. So, yeah, he went crazy because of genetics and plastic surgery. Anyways, back to Suchong. Suchong began working on plasmids, did a lot of tests, and even in the game goes on to work on making some test tube babies for a rival of Andrew Ryan's named Frank Fontaine.
That sounds familiar.
Probably because he's kind of an important character in the game.
Yeah. Well, I just mean from playing like the third one, I'm thinking that Fontaine has something to do with Infinite too, if I remember right.
He might. I don't remember if
it's been a little while since I've played it, so I can't recall. I just know that the name sounds very familiar.
Yeah, you might have gotten it from Bioshock Infinite, but I know he's a very important character in Burial at Sea, and he's again a very important character in Bioshock. But you might also have heard about him in the bit of Bioshock 1 that you played,
I'm thinking.
Or you just might have heard about him online, one or the other. So Suchong was working on test tube babies, and was working on all sorts of plasmids, even hypnotic plasmids, which I'm gonna say right now, everyone, not necessarily. You don't need some sort of power to hypnotize people. I mean, it's a thing people can do through the power of suggestion. They cover it in like psychology courses. I know because I was in an advanced psychology course. So, yeah.
Right. Well, and hypnosis also has to do with your personal perception on it too.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like you're not going to be hypnotized, then you're not allowing your brain to open up enough to the possibility. And so 9 times out of 10, you won't be.
And there are different factors that they think might be the cause of it, like suggestibility.
Right.
And also the idea
how impressionable the person is.
And also the idea of if this person might want to be a good test subject or whatever. Anyways, that aside, there are several plasmids in these games.
Right.
Let's try and name them off.
Oh, lordy. As far as the plasmids go, those I don't remember.
That's okay. You can name off Vigors. So, I know some of the Vigors. Because the Vigors are basically the same in both.
I remember one was a Murder of Crows.
Murder of Crows.
I do remember that.
That one isn't in the original Bioshock games.
That's in Infinite.
Instead, the closest thing to that you have in the original games is Bee Swarm, where basically you just shoot bees out your arm and they just go after someone.
See, and I don't quite get that anyways. I mean, what are they? Are they like physical bees, or are they possibly something that is more like an illusion, because maybe that was one of the ways that he was getting the hypnosis to work, is maybe you see something coming out of this guy's arm and so it freaks you out.
Right, but then that also begs the question, How can they do damage? Are they
Is it
having
real damage though?
are they having Matrix syndrome?
Right.
Is their brain under such belief that they are receiving damage from a bunch of
That it
from
actually
a swarm
hurts
of
them.
bees
Yeah,
that I don't
that's-
know. I'm just saying that plasmid might be complete and total bullshit right there.
Right.
Because also
No,
your
and
arm
again,
like turns into a beehive or something. It's I mean it's a weirdly like flesh colored beehive, but it's a beehive nonetheless.
But yeah, that's totally weird.
And also it kind of looks like you've been stung by like every single bee on the planet. So
Well, because I know, like in Infinite, when you do like the murder of crows, your arm is almost like feathered.
yeah, your arm
You know.
in Murder of Crows with that vigor, your arm becomes all feathered and you're just like birds. Give them the birdemic.
That guy. That guy.
Yeah.
Get him out of here, please. He's really bothering me. I can't do
Yeah.
this. And I noticed that with some of those, I don't know if it was the same in BioShock or not, but with some of the vigors in Infinite, if you came up against like certain enemies, some of them possessed some of these vigors themselves, and so you couldn't use them against that person.
Yeah, that is in the original BioShock games.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Do not try to electrocute a weird electricity splice because it will not work.
Right. I mean,
Even
that
in water.
totally makes sense. It's kind of like in any other game when you come across a dragon, a red dragon. You don't throw fireballs at it because it's like, well, duh, it's a red dragon. That's what they do. That's their that's their thing is fire. So
Now, I'm going to say this right now, and this sort of ties back in with Su Chong and Fink working together and collaborating. I don't get Murder of Crows, because Su Chong does not seem the kind of guy to willingly give up the secrets to his hypnosis plasmids. But then again, he might also be willing to do that because in BioShock Infinite, you have a vigor called Possession.
Yeah.
Which basically all that does is... I can't remember.
No, I remember that. And
I
yeah,
know it
no,
helps
you
like
target
command,
like one of
machines.
the well,
But-
not just the machines. You can also do that with some of the other characters too.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, there's certain
Okay.
characters that if you come up on like a group of them, because I've done this a couple of times myself, come up on a group of them, and then you take and choose, one of them. You target one of them, and you hit them with that vigor, and then they will turn around, and basically it's like you coerce them into fighting on your side. Now, once that vigor runs out, they will turn around and start firing on you again. So do keep that in mind if you're going to use that vigor. Keep an eye on them, keep them close. They're going to try and help you out until that vigor's effect wears off. But once it wears off, they will turn around and they will attack you again. Do remember that.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if Possession worked on other characters as well, because I only ever use it on machines to get some money out of them.
Right.
also
And that
the-
makes sense. Or to use the
And also
guns
that
or whatever.
arbitrary part at the beginning where you have to get it so you can proceed on to the raffle.
Yeah, precisely.
Fun fact about the floating city of Columbia, they frown upon mixed couples. Like mixed race couples.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, in the beginning you're given that choice whether to toss, because you win the raffle, you're given the choice to either start the whole baseball stoning of the mixed race couple or to toss it at the guy hosting the raffle.
Oh, that's right.
I always choose to go after the guy running the raffle because, let's face it, there's nothing wrong with a mixed race couple.
Well, right.
Let's face it, there are some
that's
pretty hot black
understandable.
women out there.
But, it being a video game, I usually tend to go the other way first. You know what I mean? To
Try
be the
not to
more
arouse suspicion.
that and to be the more evil person, I guess. Because rather than trying to play it on the good side and go through on the good side, I tend to lean more towards the evil side because I want to see how that twisted plot plays out before I run down the good side. Because I know most of the people that I've talked to that have played it usually go down the good side first. And from talking to them, they basically explain everything that's going to happen. And it's like, well, then let's do this one and see what that's like.
Yeah, I always strive for the good ending because, let's face it, practice makes perfect.
Well, and sometimes you don't get that lucky. Sometimes you end up trying for the good ending, and you come to find out that actually wasn't the good ending. So
Yeah, not Possession. Murder of Crows and Bee Swarm, I'm calling bull on.
yeah, I
Murder of
don't.
Crows.
Like I said, the only way I could see that possibly working is if it was some sort of hypnosis.
Yeah.
To where you're messing with their mind, or maybe it's a drug that can be shot out into the air to make you perceive that. Like, you know, they have stuff like mescaline and LSD and things like that that will make you see things that aren't there. And so maybe that's what happened with these things, you know, these creatures or whatever, these splicers or the people themselves, you know, to where instead of you actually shooting that vigor or that plasmid out at them, it's some sort of tranquilizer dart type thing, to where you hit them with that dart, it gets into their system, and then
they start tripping balls.
Yeah, and they start freaking out because they think that they're seeing something that may not even be happening.
Yeah, so that actually is possible. When we're gonna want to keep that in mind, because for some of these other vigors and plasmids, it's.
And who's to say that the guy that the original guy, you know, the person that you play as.
In which one? The first one?
Yeah. Or even
I think his name is Jack or something.
Or even in Infinite, because you play as those characters, those main characters. Who's to say that they weren't the ones who were injected with the mind-altering drugs, you know, that made them see all of this play out, regardless of whether or not it did.
Yeah. I guess it might be possible that Suchong might reveal only the bits of the hypnosis stuff to Fink, so that Fink could make the murder of crows and possession, or they might have actually had to collaborate with each other to try and get those to work. Because I don't see him giving him the full-on hypnosis secrets.
Okay, but at the same time, I think they may have.
Possession only gets people to fight on your side, and there already is another plasmid in Rapture that can do that. And that is Enrage. And what that does is you toss it at someone, they get so pissed off they start attacking
everything.
Except you.
Oh, really?
So I'm guessing that's a bit of a hypnosis thing to get.
Yeah.
So like they just become, I'm so freaking pissed, and they just attack everyone who isn't you. Because you were the one who hypnotized them, so you're like, you're pissed off at everyone and want to murder everyone except me. We're buds, man. We cool, alright?
It's cool. You're looking in the mirror over here. Turn around. Go that way. This is not the droid you're looking for, you know, kind of thing. But
possession working on machines, in the original BioShock games, you hack the machines.
Yeah.
And that's how you get them to work in your favor.
Right.
But in Infinite, you just toss some green ghost mist at them with possession, and
then it turns around and starts firing at everybody else or whatever. Because I noticed with a couple of the guns and stuff that were shooting at me in Infinite, I noticed that there was a way that you could sneak up around them and then possess them like from behind or from the side, and then instead of pointing at you, they do the same thing. They just turn back around and then they start shooting at the other people that are out there.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you have a different playing style than I do. I just sort of go all soldier tactician, boom, 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 move up. Boom, 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 move up.
Well,
boom,
see,
boom, boom, boom,
and I did a little bit of that, but my kind of thing is what I tend to do in games like this is I'll find the weapon that's got the furthest distance on it, and that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to knock out a couple of these guys from distance, and then when they think, oh, this is coming from over here, I'm going to dip around the side and come around behind them, basically to flank them. And in doing so, the machines, you know, the machines will pick you up every once in a while, but usually you can dip back behind something before they actually pick you up and start shooting at you. Because I've noticed if they start shooting at you, it automatically gets the other people's attention. They turn around.
Of course it does. Those things are loud.
Well, that's it. And they turn around, they see what's going on, they see you there, and then they all start moving towards you.
In BioShock, you can hear some of the turrets when you're in entirely different rooms.
Yeah.
On a different floor.
Yeah, you start looking around, freaking out, thinking that it's in the room with you. And
next thing you know, you go out into a lobby, look down a balcony, and it's like, oh, hey, someone picked up some guy.
Yeah.
And is murdering him. That's
right.
Good.
Right.
It's good for me. Good on my turret. Bloody legend, mate. Bloody legend.
See, and I can't remember what the one on Infinite is. I know that they have an electricity one too.
Yeah. But possession. Do you think it's possible for someone to be able to hypnotize a machine, especially in the 1912s? Because that's when BioShock Infinite takes place. Is in 1912
and see, that's I think that if they had the intelligence to create these machines, then they would have the intelligence to hack them or to rewire them so that they wouldn't, you know, maybe they pick a certain body shape or, you know, a certain body temperature. That I could see might be possible, but I mean, we're talking about if they already had this knowledge, you know,
and
which obviously they did, because here it is laid out throughout
they have
their
like
whole
all
world.
these dynamic vending machines, and then you have the Iron Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are more or less like Terminators with gears.
Those things were ridiculous.
First time I played that game, when I encountered my first Iron Patriot, I was like, holy shit, the fuck's that thing?
Just shoot, and then you're like, is it gonna die?
Go back to hell, Satan spawn!
I hope it's gonna die. Those were, actually, speaking of possession, those were one of the first things that I did possess and coerce to attack the other players. But even if they're possessed, if you start shooting and you hit them, it's like it automatically stops whatever effect possession had on them. They turn around and they start firing at you again.
Now, I will say this, they don't necessarily have... I don't remember if they have a thing like that in the original Bioshock games, where you can possess machines.
Yeah.
You can hack them.
Right.
But there is a plasmid that enables you to throw something at a splicer, and then all security cameras and turrets and all that target them. Now, I'm going to say right now, Andrew Ryan doesn't like the fact that you are there in the first game. He thinks you are CIA or KGB, someone who does not belong in his city.
Paranoid.
Yeah, very paranoid. I'm pretty sure he's a schizophrenic.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
I'm surprised you don't hear him like talking to himself. Having some voices.
And maybe you do. Maybe that's what you're hearing, but because it's only in his voice, you don't realize that there's two or three different personalities there.
Well, I feel like there's some sort of technicality with what we both just said that I'm missing, but...
Right.
That's okay, this is bullshit science. We say nothing but bullshit.
That's it. I mean, again, we're trying to figure out how this might be possible, not even...
Now,
because it's not that it is possible.
All the security features target you because Andrew Ryan has them set to target your specific genetic...
code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming all you're doing is passing on some of your genetics onto splicers and getting cameras and stuff to target them.
However, my other thought is that maybe you're taking the genetics off of the splicers and inputting them into the machines so that the machines target the splicers instead.
It might also be that.
Because I mean, there's a couple of different ways that would work. You know, at least the two that we mentioned right there. The only other thing that you would be able to do is just like program it for, like I said,
I feel like
for body shape and stuff.
Getting them to target the splicers specifically, I feel like that's when you hack them. You hack it to target anyone other than you. So I don't know. I'm a bit more lenient on your transferring some of your genetic material onto them to get the machines, to trick the machines into targeting them. The only problem with that, though, is that plasmid is that they do not explain why the machines do not still target you.
Yeah.
Because you still have your genetics.
That's exactly
You're still
it.
an enemy to that.
That's why I said that maybe the way that it works is that you're collecting the DNA as you're killing them, and then that's what you're inputting into the machine, so that the machine no longer targets your DNA, it's targeting theirs.
Yeah. Also, what I just said about the machine's not targeting you when you use the security bullseye or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'll admit I've never used that plasmid.
What? Well, you know, and there's a couple of the vigors in Bioshock Infinite that I really didn't use. The only time I used them was once I acquired them to do whatever the task was at hand that they wanted you to do, because I felt like some of them weren't as good as others could have been.
Okay, so that is, I'm assuming all the million different hypnosis-based ones that we need.
Right.
However, possession, I'm calling complete and total bullshit on how that works. If they can make a freaking gear-powered Terminator, they can put in some hacking, okay? This is not that hard.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's bull, but I don't think it's bull on how it works and possesses other people. So
right.
Possession, 50% bull. Okay, moving on. Next up, Shock Jockey.
Shock Jockey was in...
It's in both.
It's in Infinite, I remember that.
I'm using the names for the plasmids/vigors from Bioshock Infinite because, well,
okay.
I sort of remember them to an extent.
Right.
Whereas I always forget what they're called in the original Bioshock games.
I do too, and you know,
which is funny because, well, there are more of those than there are of Bioshock Infinite, so, you know.
Okay.
But
yeah, because I noticed there was only like 5 or 6 of them in Infinite, so...
Shock Jockey. Shock Jockey, I think, is probably the most plausible plasmid/vigor. Because it's basically just electricity, like tossing electricity at mofos and watching as they get tased.
Almost like you have a grenade that when
Yeah.
you toss it, it spits out.
I'm thinking it's the most plausible though, because electric eels are a thing that exist.
Right. Well, and they're not the only ones.
Take
There
some of
are
their-
other animals, not just sea creatures, that actually produce electricity.
Yeah, take some of those genes, put them into yourself, and next thing you know, you might actually be able to just tase fools
I
left
don't-
and right
see,
with the
I
snap
don't-
of your fingers. I mean, it might be possible.
If
I
you
mean, it
think
might
about
not
the
be
way
as
that an
precise,
electric
but it
eel
could
works,
cause you to
though,
produce
if
electricity.
you think about the way that an electric eel works, it's not something that you get close to it and it electrocutes you. You have to physically touch it.
Yeah.
If you don't touch it, then there's not going to be any shock from it. Or, okay, maybe you put your hand in a tank with it, and because it's water, you might feel it through the water, because water is a conductor.
Yeah.
So I could see if, like, maybe you had, like, a copper rod or something in your hand, and you went and
Yeah.
hit somebody, it would be like a cattle prod, pow.
And there's another.
Whereas for somebody else, it'd just be a regular copper rod.
There are other things in the original Bioshock games, gene tonics, which we're not gonna discuss a whole lot, but there is a gene tonic that makes it so that when you're attacked, you shock the enemies who are attacking.
Right, now,
nearby
see, now
enemies.
that makes sense.
That
makes
is
sense to me.
possible, but for the plasmid sake, I feel like, I don't know, while it is still kind of, sort of just a wee bit BS, I'm pretty sure it's still the most plausible, because things that have
because
that
you're
conduct
right.
electricity, they exist.
Yeah.
So
Well, and there's ways to even transfer electricity into something to where that thing will hold that electricity. So, I mean, if you were to, like, maybe, let's say, pick up a piece of copper or steel piping or something like that, charge it with that electricity and throw it,
yeah,
then there's the possibility that hitting them would transfer the electricity from that object into that person.
yeah,
So not only do you have the force of the impact of it being thrown at you, but it's also charged. So that as it hits you, now that would make a little more sense to me too.
yeah. So shock jockey, possible question?
I would say
mark?
plausible.
Next, I forgot the exact name, but it's like bulking something Bronco or whatever.
Yeah, like
It's the one that, like-
Bronc or yeah.
I remember how they sound when they announce it in, like, some of the announcements or advertising campaigns that you see.
Right, or
They're
that
like,
you hear as you're running
"Bulking
through."
Bronco.
Yeah.
It's all cheerful and stuff, and it's like a bunch of guys, almost like a bad barbershop quartet.
Almost. Yeah, no, I agree.
That you're basically just tossing some wind or something, and the counterpart for this in the original Bioshock games, I think, is the cyclone trap. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. The only plasmids I use in Bioshock really are the electrical and fire and occasional bee swarms.
Yeah, well, because sometimes you come across
Yeah.
creatures or
They're the only
whatever
ones that
that
work.
you can't use the fire or electricity on, so you have to find something else
Yeah.
that works for it. I came
So-
across the same thing in Infinite too. There was a few of them that, this is the main ones that I use, and then every once in a while it's like, well, yeah, I can't use that on these people, so I'm gonna have to find something else to get through this part.
Yeah, so I'm calling complete and total bull on bulking Bronco or whatever it's called, because that
Yeah, I don't know
you're
what-
just tossing wind.
Spinning them around, throwing them everywhere. It's like, oh great, what did you do? Have a tornado in a jar? I mean,
Have you become Storm all of a sudden?
Yeah. I didn't see your eyes roll back from your head. How's this working?
Exactly. Okay, so bulking Bronco, yeah, that's bullshit. We're not
It's
we're
got
not
to be
discussing
because
it that
well,
much.
the only way that you could do anything like that would to actually have an apparatus.
Yeah.
I don't see where you would be able to genetically modify anything to make it produce wind unless it was like super gassy. And then so you're blowing a bunch of farts at people, I guess, for lack of a better term, And I don't think that's so
That
much
was so bad.
that's so much gonna lift them up and throw them around as it is gonna make them pass out or vomit. So that might have been a little more,
Yeah.
down to earth if you threw a fart at somebody and they passed out.
Even that's kind of far-fetched.
That would. But
So-
even then, but that's still it. It would have to be like some sort of apparatus.
And then there's a similar one that Vigor that's sort of elemental, so to say.
Yeah.
That actually doesn't have a counterpart in
In
Bioshock.
Infinite.
the original games. It's the vigor where you can use it to draw people towards you, so you can murder them with your skyhook, or you can like toss them off of places because you shoot water out your freaking palm.
It's basically like the reverse of the Bronco one. Instead of blowing them away from you, you're basically using the wind's force to bring them into you.
Yeah, but you can also, if I remember correctly, I think you can use it to blow people off at ledges and stuff, but it like shoots water out your hand.
Which is really weird. I'm not a fire truck, so I don't see how I can just shoot water out of my hand.
Now, I'm kind of iffy on that one because a good portion of the human body is comprised of water, but at the same time, the amount of water that comes out of your hand when you do that, I feel like you would die.
Okay, now stop and think for a second. They have clams, okay? And I've seen these clams, or mussels rather. Sorry, they're mussels, and what they do is
you can see them in the locker room.
They will dig a little hole in the mud, and they have this little tubule that sticks up out of the mud like this. And what it does is it sucks the water from the ocean or from the floor, and it shoots it out of this little, basically like an elephant's trunk almost, that sticks up out of the shell of the mussel, and it shoots it up and out.
But even that requires another water source, like a source of
water.
Well,
now, being as we are 85% water, there is the possibility that it could draw from you. Now, remember, with your vigors as well as with your plasmids, anytime you use them, it draws something out of you, be it salts, be it having to pick up atom, whatever it is.
Water is very, very important to human survival. Don't know if you listeners knew this, but you need water to live.
Without water, we all die.
But with the amount of water that you shoot out your palm or whatever in Bioshock Infinite, I feel like you're dead. Within 5 seconds of using it, you are dead, or like a mummy or bacon or something. Like,
you look like the
beef
Crypt
jerky.
Keeper. It just sucked all that moisture out of you, and now you're done.
Yeah,
well,
that's more like a suicide bomber type thing, except for that all the exploding.
Right.
More like a minor inconvenience. What's this? I'm all wet now.
I'm wet. Yeah. You got a towel to go with that? That was crap.
So that, not necessarily bowl, kind of sort of bowl.
Plausible, I don't think
it is very illogical.
Well,
and
yeah, and there's really no reason for it. I mean, unless you're gonna walk around with like 40 gallons of water on your back at all times, so that you can just like, while you're shooting this stuff out, you're just sucking that water down out of the tank. I don't see where that's actually gonna work or even be feasible.
Yeah, so that's... Yeah, no to that water plasmid. And especially no to how it... Actually, why is it that one that draws people towards you?
I don't know.
Or am I getting that one and Bronco mixed up?
That could be. It could be the Bronc that draws you in with the wind, and then the water's the one that pushes you
Either
away.
way, anything having to do with you controlling wind is bull. Moving on.
Yeah, well, save having a fan or something with to use. Because they have those giant fans.
Or like a mini black hole in your hand, which...
Yeah, if we start talking black holes and stuff like that...
I'm no physician, but I'm pretty sure that would destroy your hand.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a little black hole there.
I don't think it would just destroy your hand, but yeah. I agree.
Anyways, moving on.
What was the fire one called anyway?
Devil's Kiss. Let's talk Devil's Kiss. I was gonna say Old Man Winter, but let's talk Devil's Kiss.
Well, yeah, no, I was just thinking about it, and you're basically. Did you play Mortal Kombat at all?
I played some of the. I think it was one of the older games.
Do you remember the original one? I'm pretty sure if
it
was on Game Boy or if it was on like PSP or an older version like the Sega.
It was like
handhelds.
a ported version or something.
Yeah, because I remember playing on the Sega.
Played it on a Game Boy.
Anyways, so
I was terrible at it, but I did play.
In the first one, if you played as Sonya Blade, she had the Kiss of Death. That was like her finishing move, was the Kiss of Death. And it was basically the same concept. She would blow you a kiss, and this kiss would come floating around, and you could see these little, basically lips floating through the air like you would in a cartoon. and then it would hit them. And when it would hit them, they would burst into flames like somebody had soaked them in napalm. It was crazy, and I kind of feel like that's what Devil's Kiss is like.
I think they based Devil's Kiss off of that. Now that you mention it,
so, I mean, because that's how I felt whenever you used it. It just kind of like floated through it and hit them, and then they just like spontaneous combustion.
Can happen. Anyways, that aside,
I feel like the only way that would work.
That has happened. But a lot of times it's because someone has downed like an ass ton of alcohol.
Right, and that was my thought. Is I know people that are fire eaters and that are they
in that profession you don't want to be drinking a whole lot before a show.
Well,
because you're dead.
I know a lot of them that will take bottles of heavier alcohol, and what they will do is not so much swallow it, but and breathe fire. But you have to be careful doing that, because in doing so, just as with any other ignition source for fire, it is going to follow the path of least resistance, and it's going to ignite all of those fumes. So you have to remember that even though you're expelling it out of your face, there is the chance
that
you're
become
not
two-faced.
Quick enough about it, it will jump right back in your mouth. Not even so much burn your face, but it will go into your mouth and can light the inside of your mouth on fire as well as the rest of your face. And, of course, any spittle or splatter anywhere else. So...
Yeah, sounds like a nice way to become Arseface from Preacher.
Right.
Except your mouth's all left up on the inside, not the outside. But then again, his mouth's probably effed up on the inside, because he did shotgun himself in the face. Anyways, off of Preacher...
That's not... Yeah. That's a little off subject. But
off of the amazing show, what is called Preacher, back to Plasmids. Do you think Devil's Kiss is possible? That Plasmid? Because it has to be some sort of napalm.
Well, I don't know that it has to be napalm. I'm thinking...
Just straight up fire?
Now, wait, stop and think for a second. We have snakes that can spit venom. And if we have snakes that can spit venom, I'm sure that we can find a way to incorporate those venom sacs, only using something else as a propellant to expel it, or even maybe fit it somewhere to where you could control the muscles that were around it so that they would like squeeze. So let's say, like with a snake, it takes it a little while for its venom to build. For the potency to build. The longer it sits holding it in those venom sacs, the more potent it becomes. Just like alcohol does. The longer it sits, the more potent it becomes. Okay? So I feel like if we were to do something like that, it would have to be something along those lines, to where it would have to sit and ferment in order to reach full effectiveness. Whereas if you were to do it on a regular basis, it would still be effective, just not as effective. I would say possible. I would just think that you would have to have like some sort of outside fire.
Not as they depict in the games, but
like maybe you've got this little thing on the palm of your hand, like that's like a flamethrower, where it's just got this little bit of flame going at all times. But you have this sack that's like in your arm or whatever, and when you squeeze your arm, it squeezes the sack, which pushes it out, almost like Spider-Man.
If Spider-Man were to shoot balls of flame at his enemies.
Right, exactly. So I'm saying that would be possible. I'm just saying that it would be something that you wouldn't just have the genetic modification there.
Yeah.
You would also have to add some sort of like mechanical modification so that you had it. Or maybe you just have to be near a candle or an open flame to where you can use that to get you started. Because I don't know how else you would start that.
Yeah, so put it right on with Shark Jockey under plausible mark?
Right. I could go one way or the other, so.
Next, Old Man Winter. Complete bullshit. Moving on.
Now, I don't know that I ever used that one. I don't know what's
it basically just freeze things. It makes no.
I don't know any animals or anything
Are you Mr. Freeze all of a sudden? What's going on?
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, not even Mr. Freeze. Even Mr. Freeze couldn't naturally produce eyes. It was oh crap! I'm thinking Christmas special. Damn it! It's the one.
Which one? Which Christmas special?
It's the one with the song that goes, I'm Mr. Meister, I'm Mr. Sun. What was the other guy's name?
I don't remember. I'm sorry. I am
that guy. You become the cold guy from that one Christmas special. Yeah.
Like Jack Frost.
Yeah. What's going on there? Like,
I don't know. That's that right there. Yeah. No.
Yeah. That's
I could see where possibly you were like Mr. Freeze, where your cells had been bombarded so much by the cold
that
you
no
had to
longer
naturally be in the cold in order to survive because the heat would be too much?
Either that or like become like immune to cold or something.
Right.
Like those might be possible, but
I don't see where you're gonna
tossing
actually
ice at
freeze
people. I don't.
Who are you, Sub-Zero? I don't understand that. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Or were you the Silver Surfer?
That's right. In that second movie, he was flying around in Egypt, got snow
on ice.
What's up with that? Everywhere became cold with Silver Surfer.
He's on a surfboard.
How does that cause ice?
Yeah, well, the vacuum of space and how cold it is in space too.
No, that's not an excuse. He just came from space. He ain't gonna be that damn cold.
Well, but if you think about it depends on your distance to the sun as to how warm you're gonna be. Just like the planets are in the solar system. The further out you get, the colder they get.
Yeah, but he
The
just
closer in you get, the warmer they get.
I don't think he would be cold enough to affect Earth's entire weather pattern.
And
especially in a desert like Egypt.
Yeah. Well, and you would think that moving fast would create heat.
Exactly.
Not cold.
It's friction. Friction's a thing.
Right. Exactly. As far as what we know of physics, anyway, I mean, that just doesn't completely compute. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I don't think that would be possible.
Let's move on.
I don't see any way that would work.
Are we missing any vigors? I'm trying to think. Are we missing any
that's
vigors?
what I'm looking. I can see them in my head. I can't
Old Man
remember the
Winter,
names.
Shock Jockey.
God, I feel like there was like a Titan one or something that made you like super strong or super almost like invincibility to where you could get hit a dozen times or whatever by those big mechanical, basically eagle-headed George Washington statues chasing you around. You know,
the Iron Patriots, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I feel like there was something that gave you more strength.
I just remembered one. There's no counterpart for this one in the original Bioshock games, but and I also cannot remember the name of it because I never ever used it. Now that I think about it, I probably should next time I play Bioshock Infinite. It's pretty great.
Probably would have been really useful.
It basically creates a shield, and with that shield, enemies fire at you. You catch the bullets.
Yeah.
And then you launch them back at them.
So that would, I guess that would be more like a...
I want to say magnetism, but at the same time, I'm going a bit more telekinetic.
That's what I'm thinking is more like telekinesis, where you'd actually be able to physically move things, or, you know, with the shield and stuff, because that would be like a projection.
Yeah.
Now, as far as how that would work, that I think that would be an opening of the mind, maybe, but... Well, we have so much untapped potential up here. There's really nobody who can say whether it would go one way or the other.
Yes and no. It is possible to have great memory recall in the mind, but this is something that you can figure out if you use the internet and don't go off of weird ass myths
or Wikipedia.
Yeah. Wikipedia.
Anyways, that being said,
that's why this show is always so full of bullshit.
Right. Because inevitably it's all bullshit.
We are lazy enough to use Wikipedia. Anyways, even if you sustain some minor brain damage, it could severely mess up parts of your body, like hand-eye coordination, breathing, heartbeat, blood, stuff like that. So,
I don't know. I would think that maybe was plausible. I don't see where we have enough scientific evidence to prove that would be something that we could do. The only other way would be, like you said, some sort of magnetism. But in order to do that, it's not like you're magnetic or I'm magnetic, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, and even if you were controlling magnetic fields, that's still sort of like basic like manipulation of like physics and elements or whatever. So
yeah,
it's like,
that's why I'm saying that's
complete bull right there.
That's pretty harsh to think.
And also, even if that was possible, not all types of bullets are magnetic. So you wouldn't even be able to work on all types of bullets. So yeah, someone's gonna knock out your shins probably, and you're gonna be lying there bleeding out, being like, shit, why did I think this through?
Yeah, but here's the other thing too: is if you are capable of controlling these bullets, then why would you not just go like that with the weapon?
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than stopping the bullets and shooting them back at you, why not just go There, you guys are done. What? Oh, you gotta run for the gun? Okay, go. Jump
It's
off
up.
the cliff.
Yeah.
Good luck. You know, I will totally Star Fox you right here and be like, good luck. You know? What happens if you have metal teeth at that point?
Yeah.
You know? Can I just drag you around by your face because you have so many piercings? I mean...
Stop dragging your face on the ground.
Bouncing like a basketball. Regardless, that would be the only plausible thing I could think of, and I don't know of a way that they would be able to alter your physics enough, you know,
Yeah.
in order to do that.
Shield, vigor, complete and total bull.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all.
And I think that is all.
Or at least a lot of the major ones.
The ones that you would use on a regular basis, because the other
Yeah.
ones are just so cheesy that you're like, why would you even give somebody this? It's like
Well,
giving somebody a wooden nickel. This doesn't make sense.
Also, I'm just gonna say right now, at one point in Burial at Sea episode 1,
Yeah.
the Booker DeWitt of that universe, of that reality, he never met Elizabeth before, or at least that's what you're supposed to think. Doesn't know what she can do. Sees her open up Terra and is like, what's that? Is that some new plasmid? And she's like, yeah, it's called Terra. First off, yeah, no, that's off the table. No way that's a plasmid. Moving on.
Yeah, no, I don't think that would be a plasmid either. If that was
Moving on.
anything, it would be like some sort of machinery messed up. And now we have a rip in the space-time continuum. Once again, we are back to
Oh,
the
it's
Sci-Fi Channel original classic, you know?
Oh.
So...
Or we somehow ended up reading Watchmen and skipped to the very end, only to just now find out that it was Ozymandias all along.
Or that you skip to the end to find out that that's only the beginning, and you're like, wait, what? How? What? No, this. Wait, what?
Interstellar syndrome?
I want to punch people in the face too. I mean,
So, yeah, no.
no.
Also, that was a terrible lie because she had to, like, think about it, and there was that massive awkward pause, and she was like, yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, that's it. I'm totally, yeah.
And then Booker just falls for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But dumbass.
But that, see, if you were going to argue that would be a vigor or a plasmid, then, you know, wouldn't her controlling the giant bird be one also? You know, because in Infinite...
That's another topic we need to bring up in another episode, is the bird.
That's what I'm saying, that giant bird that basically keeps her in the tower, but also protects her, but also is hunting her. So I was totally confused with that thing.
Well, it was... Okay, we're not getting into the bird right now.
Well, and I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
Why? This is
weird.
dumb.
And that bit at the end where she, like, gets them, like, teleports them to Rapture, and then the bird just dies. Which makes sense, because he can't withstand those pressures. Despite him being a mechanical.
At the depth, yeah. Well, no, yeah, because I noticed,
Rapture
you're right.
is deep.
He came down in, and you saw him right outside the window and whatnot. And then,
Yeah, and his eye exploded, and he's like,
as his body basically gets crushed by the pressure of the ocean, yeah.
And then Booker makes some comment like, a city at the bottom of the ocean. Pfft, whatever. Comic
And then-
books. Pfft.
Basically, that's the end of Infinite, you know, right there.
Well, then you have a whole bit and the twist and all that. Anyways,
Well, yeah.
moving past that, there is another plasmid that is introduced in Burial at Sea that isn't in any of the other games. Peeping Tom.
What the hell kind of thing is that? You run around looking through people's windows?
You actually find it in, well, let's just say a
feel
place
like,
where you can find some strokeful literature.
I feel like that was also in
some-
Bioshock Infinite.
The Peeping Tom?
To where, like, well, maybe not even so much Peeping Tom. Maybe that wasn't the name of it, but it was like you could see through walls. I don't know if maybe
They
that
might
was
have
something that you used, or you know what I mean. It might have been an instrument that you used to see through the walls. I remember something about being able to see on the other side of the walls, and it wasn't because she had torn a hole so that you could see through the wall. It was you were using like some vigor or an apparatus to see through the wall.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. It
So
might
I
be in the
can't
main
remember.
game, but I remember it distinctly from Burial at Sea episode 2 because I don't know about everyone else out there, but I kind of used it a lot to make sure I didn't get myself killed.
Well, yeah,
'Cause
before
in
you
that
walk
one-
into a room.
Because in
or
that one
whatever.
you play as Elizabeth, and Elizabeth, let's face it, not as good a fighter as every other main character that has ever been in a
That's true.
Bioshock game.
That is true.
You actually have to sneak up behind people in order for the skyhook to be in any way effective.
Yeah.
Anyways, that aside, what
Peeping Tom does, well, actually, it does two things. First, you can use it to turn yourself invisible.
Okay,
I don't buy that.
So basically, you've
I mean-
genetically modified your body with chameleon DNA to
Yes.
so that you
But
can blend
chameleons,
in.
is it?
They don't turn invisible. They change color to match
Yeah.
whatever they're around.
But
So
at the same time, it has to do with body temperature, and I believe if they were to move and while changing color or something like that, I don't know. I feel like there would be a bit of a delay.
well, I've seen a couple chameleons. I've seen a couple up close, but I haven't seen them change color up close. So I can't tell you exactly how long it takes. But I've watched a few documentaries where they've showed chameleons and stuff like that, and they change fairly quickly. I mean, it's almost like as soon as they touch it, their skin color changes up to a certain point.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them to where, like, the right front leg is one color and the left leg is another color and then the body is another color, so that they are blending into the background. But that's exactly it. They don't go invisible.
Yeah.
They're not turning themselves invisible to where you can see through them. That would be bending light.
Yeah, so the Peeping Tom plasmid and its ability to make you turn invisible, or at least to...
Appear invisible to someone else?
Yeah,
I guess?
that possible question mark?
Camouflage. Yeah, again, that would have to be something where we like mixed our DNA with either chameleons or octopuses can change color, squids, and squids. It's really weird because not only do they change color, but they can like shimmer.
That sounds trippy.
To where, well, it kind of is. It's almost like a strobe effect. To where there's something in their body that just illuminates and then de-illuminates so quickly that it looks like a strobe light. It looks like it's going almost like the lights going down a runway.
Damn.
Running from one end to the other, and they do it really fast. And from what scientists theorize about it anyway, it's a way for them to distract you or get your attention, especially because you think they're hunters.
Yeah.
They hunt other creatures. If they get that other creature to go, what the hell was that? That stops them long enough that they can shoot out those two attacking tentacles to get a hold of it and pull it back in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a distraction thing, or like they notice that when they start to get a little bit agitated, like right before they attack people, is when they start doing that strobe effect like really fast, and it's not just like
bitch.
pretty much. You're like, what the fuck?
Holy shit, it's on me.
Pretty much. Well, and I've seen those things jump up on people's masks and stuff on their respirators, like divers, get on their masks and pull them off. But so that would honestly, that would be the only way I could see that part of that vigor actually working.
Yeah.
Would be to take something from a creature like that
And
implement it into your DNA.
and here's the other thing that the Peeping Tom plasmid does. It enables you to see through walls.
Now, since you're playing as Elizabeth, are you really seeing through walls, or is she creating a tear?
They actually... Okay, this is a bit of what happens in Burial at Sea episode 2, but in that reality, an incident occurs at the end of the first part that actually gets her killed.
Okay.
And you only find out at the beginning of part 2. And because of that, her pinky is restored, so that creates theory as to why she can open up tears, but she also loses her powers.
Right.
She can't do any of that anymore.
Right, because she has her pinky back, and it is assumed that because her pinky is gone,
Or at least because it exists in two different realities.
because she exists in two different realities,
She
that
can
it's
do
like
this.
her pinky is trying to find the rest of her body or something.
Yeah. But...
Or like she's trying to find the rest of her pinky.
Yeah,
However you want to look at it.
So in part 2 of Burial at Sea, you cannot open tears at all, but again, Peeping Tom enables you to look through walls. Okay, we have x-rays, we have that stuff.
We
but,
also have goggles that you can use that basically do the same thing. Because
Right,
you can
but-
switch them over between different levels, and you can see through certain materials. You can't see through all materials.
Yeah, like
Because
lead.
you can't see through lead. But you can see through a lot of materials, like concrete, and I almost wonder if that doesn't just work off of, like, radar, to where it penetrates through and hits,
You know, that might actually be what it's
and
doing.
then comes back. Just like a bat does, because
Yeah.
bats don't see very well. Not that they don't see, because they do see. They do have some sight. Their sight is very limited. That's why they mostly go on their hearing. But that's all echo radar. So that's going to tell you how far something is. That's not going to penetrate through something to tell you what's on the other side.
But would you be able to? But with that,
Could you hone that skill to do
Could
that?
you be like Daredevil and see things?
It's a possibility, but again, you're not technically seeing them. What you're seeing is the vibration of the sound coming off of whatever it's hitting.
Right. That, and there has to be noise.
Yeah.
There has to be noise in order for that to work. So
Right.
if you're trying to creep up and stalk someone, the fuck was that?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna come right around a corner with their guns and be like, "Yeah, no, you're done." That was dumb. Why was he yelling? What is wrong with this guy? Shoot him again. Kick him.
Yeah. So that
I don't.
I don't know. I don't think you can actually have a genetic ability to see using X-ray vision. And if you did, you would be giving a lot of people cancer. Probably.
Yes and no.
Again, I'm not a physician. I don't know how any of this works.
How would it affect you and your eyes? That's the question.
That's
because
true.
It was your eye. It's your eyes that would be doing it.
It would probably like just cancer up your
Or
eyes.
maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even your eyes. Maybe it's the way that your brain is interpreting what your eyes see.
So what, like different light spectrums?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because if you think about a
that could work, actually.
If you think about what are they called?
Ultraviolet?
No. It's a creature. It's like a mantis shrimp or something like that. You know what those are?
No.
Oh man, these things are wicked.
It sounds like something out of a horror movie.
They're these little. Well, I say little, but they're shrimp. Okay. And so
they're small,
decent sized, but they are pearlescent. Now, these things can see like 15 or 16 different colors that our brains can't even perceive. These things are so strong, well, not even strong, but they move with such force that you cannot keep them in a standard tank. You cannot keep them in a tank of any kind, plexiglass, it doesn't matter if it's glass, it doesn't matter if it's bulletproof glass or bullet-resistant glass. They will break it, that's how hard they hit it. They hit bullet-resistant glass, shatter it, done.
Damn.
There's no 1 or 2 or 3 times in the same spot to where it creates a weak point. Once they hit it, it's done. And it's because of the way that they hunt. When they hunt, they use that to their advantage so that when they hit the fish or they hit whatever that they're attacking, it knocks it out or it stuns it to the point that they can grab it and then start to feed on it.
Holy crap.
But these things, I believe that's what it's called. Let me double check. But that would be, if you were able to take like their eyesight and, because maybe they can see through walls. I don't know.
Or, well, I'm not sure
because
if it
they
would work
see in
for
different spectrums
deer,
of
but
light.
I know, and I also can't remember if it's elk or deer, but I know one or the other can see other spectrums, light spectrums as well. So yeah, they get more of a great view of space than we humans do. Bastards. Okay, so mantis. Shrimp animal. Yeah, it kind of looks like something out of a horror movie.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a pearlescent color, or
Wow.
those. I forget what they call it, but they paint cars to where it basically changes color in the light as you pass by. Like from one angle it looks green, from the next angle it looks purple, from the next angle it looks white, from the next angle it looks pink, it looks black, it looks blue. That's basically what this thing looks like. But it is just wicked. It says the majority of them grow to about 10 centimeters in length. We're not talking very big. It says a few can reach up to 38 centimeters. So I mean they can get a decent size. The ones that are that size could probably kill you with the force that they can push out. Yeah, this is right here. World's deadliest shrimp packs a punch. These things are just wicked. But that would be the only way I could see this working.
Geez. Okay, so peeping Tom, the X-ray thing could work. The camouflage could work. So only 3 of these plasmid. Wait.
4, I think.
Because let's run through the ones we deemed plausible really fast. Shock Jockey.
Yes.
Devil's Kiss. Kinda sort.
Yeah.
Just now peeping Tom, which gives 2 abilities: the camouflage or invisibility, as well as the X-ray vision.
Right.
And I think that was it, because we immediately discounted
Murder of Crows or whatever.
Murder of Crows, the hypnosis things, those.
The hypnosis ones. Or that was the other one. It was, what was it? Where you basically turn them, or you get the machines to work on your side. I can't remember.
Possession.
Possession.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Possibility just depends on how you would have to apply it. I don't think that would be so much something that you could just throw at something unless...
Again, I think it's easier just to hack the damn thing.
I agree.
So
or to short circuit it. Because maybe you use the shock jockey, short circuit it, and now it's just
Yeah.
whatever moves, basically.
Those are only three plasmids that can
Out of all
work.
of them.
Yeah, that is the consensus. This has been Bullshit Science. I have been Bill Armstrong, or at least as far as I know I have been.
Last time I checked, you were. And I'm Luke, and I believe that is going to be the end of this one, guys.
Yeah.
Good show.
Don't forget, we have a Patreon. Give us money.
I know we could use it.
A minimum of $1 will suffice.
Right?
And I think we have a Twitter. I don't remember.
I'm not sure. You'll
thought we
have
have
to
a
double
Twitter.
check on that one, but
I'd have to check Twitter.
there you go. That works.
But anyways.
All right, until next time, guys.